Chapter 1, Part 5. Maybe the hardware store's panes would have wobbled the moon's reflection interestingly, but there was no way of telling, not with the panes where they were and the moon where it was. C'est la vie. She mooched around the centre for a while, getting the feel of the night-empty curve of street, the row of white shop fronts on one side, the rise to the hill on the other, the library, the historical society cottage. She wasted some film on street lights and litter baskets. Cliché time, but it was only black and white, so what the hell. A cat trotted down the path from the library, a silver-grey cat with a black moon shadow stuck to its paws. It crossed the street toward the market parking lot. No thanks, we're not keen on cat pics. She set up the tripod on the library lawn and took shots of the shop fronts, using the 50mm lens and making 10, 12 and 14-second exposures. An odd medicinal smell soured the air, coming on the breeze at her back. It almost reminded her of something in her childhood, but fell short. A syrup she'd been given? A toy she had had? She reloaded by moonlight, gathered the tripod, and backed across the street, scouting the library for a good angle. She found one and set up. The white clapboard siding was black-banded in the overhead moonlight. The windows showed book-shelved walls, lighted faintly from within. She focused with extra special care and, starting at 8 seconds, took each a second longer exposures, up to 18. One of them, at least, would catch the inside book-shelved walls without overexposing and siding. She went to the car for her sweater and looked around as she went back to the camera. The Historical Society cottage? No, it was too tree-shadowed and dull anyway. But the Men's Association house up on the hill had a surprisingly comic look to it. A square old 19th century house, solid and symmetrical, tipsily parasoled by a glistening TV antenna. The 4 tall upstairs windows were vividly alight, their sashes raised. Figures moved inside. She took the 50mm lens out of the camera and was putting in the 135 when headlight beams swept onto the street and grew brighter. She turned and a spotlight blinded her. Closing her eyes, she tightened the lens, then shielded her eyes and squinted. The car stopped and the spotlight swung away and died to an orange spark. She blinked a few times, still seeing the blinding radiance. A police car. It stayed where it was, about 30 feet away from her on the other side of the street. A man's voice spoke softly inside it. Spoke and kept speaking. She waited. The car moved forward, coming opposite her, and stopped. The young policeman with the unpoliceman-like brown moustache smiled at her and said, "Evening, ma'am." She had seen him several times, once in the stationery store buying packs of coloured crepe paper, one each of every colour they had. "Hello," she said, smiling. He was alone in the car. He must have been talking on his radio. About her? "I'm sorry I hit you with that spotlight that way," he said. "Is that your car by the post office?" "Yes," she said. "I didn't park it here because I was..." "That's all right, I was all right. I'm just checking." He squinted at the camera. "Gee, it's a good-looking camera," he said. "What kind is it?" "A Pentax," she said. "Oh, Pentax," he said. He looked at the camera and at her. "And you can take pictures at night with it?" "Time exposures," she said. "Oh, sure," he said. "How long does it take on a night like this?" "Well, that depends," she said. He wanted to know on what and what kind of film she was using, and whether she was a professional photographer, and how much a Pentax cost, just roughly, and how it stacked up against other cameras. She tried not to grow impatient. She should be glad she lived in a town where a policeman could stop and talk for a few minutes. Finally, he smiled and said, "Well, I guess I better let you go ahead with it. Good night." "Good night," she said, smiling. He drove off slowly. The silver-grey cat ran through his headlight beams. She watched the car for a moment and then turned to the camera and checked the lens. Crouching to the viewfinder, she levered into a good framing of the Men's Association house and locked the tripod head. She focused, sharpening the finder's image of the high, square, tipsy, antennae-eyed house. 2 of its upstairs windows were dark now, and another was shade pulled down to darkness, and then the last one. She straightened and looked at the house itself, and turned to the police car's faraway tail lights. He had radioed a message about her, and then he had stalled her with his questions while the message was acted on, the shades pulled down. "Oh, come on, girl, you're getting nutty." She looked at the house again. They wouldn't have a radio up there. And what would he have been afraid she'd photograph? An orgy in progress? Cool girls from the city? Or better yet, from right there in Stepford. Enlarger reveals shocking secret. Seemingly diligent housewives conveniently holding still for lengthy time exposures were caught Sunday night disporting at the Men's Association house by photographer Nancy Drew Eberhard of Fairview Lane. Smiling, she crouched to the viewfinder, bettered her framing and focus, and took 3 shots of the dark windowed house, 10 seconds, 12 and 14. She took shots of the post office and of its bare flagpole silhouetted against moonlit clouds. She was putting the tripod into the car when the police car came by and slowed. "Hope they all come out," the young policeman called. "Thanks," she called back to him. "I enjoyed talking," to make up for her city-bred suspiciousness. "Good night," the policeman called. A senior partner in Walter's firm died of uremic poisoning, and the records of the trusts he had administered were found to be disquietingly inaccurate. Walter had to stay 2 nights and a weekend in the city, and on the nights following he seldom got home before 11 o'clock. Pete took a fall on the school bus and knocked out his 2 front teeth. Joanna's parents paid a short-notice 3-day visit on their way to a Caribbean vacation. They loved the house and Stepford, and Joanna's mother admired Carol Van Sant. "Oh, so serene and efficient. Take a leaf from her book, Joanna." The dishwasher broke down and the pump, and Pete's 8th birthday came, calling for presents, a party, favours, a cake. Kim got a sore throat and was home for 3 days. Joanna's period was late, but came, thank God, and the pill. She managed to get in little tennis, her game improving, but still not as good as Charmaine's. She got the darkroom 3/4 set up and made trial enlargements of the black man and taxi picture and developed and printed the ones she had taken in the centre, 2 of which looked very good. She took shots of Pete and Kim and Scott Chameleon playing on the jungle gym. She saw Bobby almost every day. They shopped together, and sometimes Bobby brought her 2 younger boys, Adam and Kenny, over after school. One day, Joanna and Bobby and Charmaine got dressed to the nines and had a 2-cocktail lunch at a French restaurant in Eastbridge. By the end of October, Walter was getting home for dinner again, the dead partner's peculiations having been unravelled, made good and patched over. Everything in the house was working. Everyone was well. They carved a huge pumpkin for Halloween, and Pete went trick-or-treating as a front toothless Batman, and Kim as Heckle or Jekyll. She was both, she insisted. Joanna gave out 50 bags of candy and had to fall back on fruit and cookies. Next year she would do better. On the first Saturday in November, they gave a dinner party. Bobby and Dave, Charmaine and her husband Ed, and from the city, Shep and Sylvia Tackover, and Don Ferrault, one of Walter's partners, and his wife Lucy. The local woman Joanna got to help serve and clean up was delighted to be working in Stepford for a change. "There used to be so much entertaining here," she said. "I had a whole round of women that used to fight over me, and now I have to go to Norwood and Eastbridge and New Sharon, and I hate night driving." She was a plump, quick-moving, white-haired woman named Mary Migliardi. "It's that men's association," she said, jabbing toothpicks into shrimp on a platter. "Entertaining gone right out of the window since they started up. The men go out and the women stay in. If my old man was alive, he'd have to knock me on the head before I'd let him join." "But it's a very old organization, isn't it?" Joanna said, tossing salad at arm's length because of her dress. "Are you kidding?" Mary said. "It's new, 6 or 7 years, that's all. Before, there was the Civic Association and the Elks and the Legion." She toothpicked shrimp with machine-like rapidity. "But they all merged in with it once it got going. Except the Legion, they're still separate. 6 or 7 years, that's all. This isn't all you've got for hors d'oeuvres, is it?" "There's a cheese roll in the refrigerator," Joanna said. Walter came in looking very handsome in his plaid jacket, carrying the ice bucket. "We're in luck," he said, going to the refrigerator. "There's a good creature feature. Pete doesn't even want to come down. I put the Sony in his room. He opened the freezer section and took out a bag of ice cubes. Mary just told me the Men's Association is new, Joanna said. It's not new, Walter said, tearing at the top of the bag. A white dab of tissue clung to his jawbone, pinned by a dot of dried blood. 6 or 7 years, Mary said. Where we come from, that's old, Joanna said. I thought it went back to the Puritans. What gave you that idea? Walter asked, spilling ice cubes into the bucket. She tossed the salad. I don't know, she said. The way it's set up and that old house. That was the Terhune place, Mary said, laying a stretch of plastic over the toothpick platter. They got it dirt cheap. Auction for taxes and no one else bid. The party was a disaster. Lucy Ferralt was allergic to something and never stopped sneezing. Sylvia was preoccupied. Bobby, whom Joanna had counted on as a conversational star, had laryngitis. Charmaine was Miss Vamp, provocative and come-hithery in floor-length white silk cut clear to her navel. Dave and Shep were provoked and went thither. Walter, damn him, talked law in the corner with Don Ferralt. Ed Wimpery's big, fleshy, well-tailored, stewed talked television, clamping Joanna's arm and explaining in slow, careful words why cassettes were going to change everything. At the dinner table, Sylvia got unpreoccupied and tore into suburban communities that enriched themselves with tax-yielding light industry while fortressing themselves with 2- and 4-acre zoning. Ed Wimpery's knocked his wine over. Joanna tried to get light conversation going and Bobby pitched in valiantly, gasping an explanation of where the laryngitis had come from. She was doing tape recordings for a friend of Dave's who thinks he's bleeding Henry Higgins, he does. But Charmaine, who knew the man and had taped for him herself, cut her short with,
Never make fun of what a Capricorn's doing. They produce.
And went into an around-the-table sign analysis that demanded everyone's attention. The roast was overdone and Walter had a bad time slicing it. The soufflé rose, but not quite as much as it should have, as Mary remarked while serving it. Lucy Ferralt sneezed. Never again, Joanna said as she switched the outside lights off, and Walter, yawning, said, Soon enough for me. Listen, you, she said, how could you stand there talking at dawn while 3 women are sitting like stones on the sofa? Sylvia called to apologize. She had been passed up for a promotion she damn well knew she deserved, and Charmaine called to say they'd had a great time and to postpone a tentative Tuesday tennis date.
Ed's got a bee in his bonnet,
she said.
He's taking a few days off. We're putting Merrill with the DeCostas. You don't know them, lucky you. And he and I are going to rediscover each other. That means he chases me around the bed. And my period's not till next week, goddammit.
Why not let him catch you? Joanna said.
Oh, God.
Charmaine said.
Look, I just don't enjoy having a big cock shoved into me, that's all. Never have and never will. I'm not a les either, because I tried it. That's no big deal. Just not interested in sex. I don't think any woman is, really. Not even Pisces women. Are you?
Well, I'm not a nympho, Joanna said. But I'm interested in it. Sure I am.
Really? Or do you feel you're supposed to be?
Really?
Well, to each his own.
Charmaine said.
Let's make it Thursday, all right? He's got a conference he can't get out of, thank God.
Okay, Thursday unless something comes up.
Don't let anything.
It's getting cold.
We'll wear sweaters.
She went to a PTA meeting. Pete's and Kim's teachers were there, Miss Turner and Miss Gare, pleasant middle-aged women eagerly responsive to her questions about teaching methods and how the busing program was working out. The meeting was poorly attended. Aside from the group of teachers at the back of the auditorium, there were only 9 women and about a dozen men. The president of the association was an attractive blonde woman named Mrs. Hollingsworth, who conducted business with smiling, unhurried efficiency. She bought winter clothes for Pete and Kim and 2 pairs of wool slacks for herself. She made terrific enlargements of Off-Duty and the Stepford Library and took Pete and Kim to Dr. Coe, the dentist.
Did we?
Charmaine asked, letting her into the house. Of course we did, she said. I said it was okay if nothing came up. Charmaine closed the door and smiled at her. She was wearing an apron over slacks and a blouse.
Gosh, I'm sorry, Joanna,
she said.
I completely forgot.
That's all right, she said. Go change.
We can't play,
Charmaine said.
For one thing, I've got too much work to do.
Work?
Housework.
Joanna looked at her.
We've let Nettie go,
Charmaine said.
It's absolutely unbelievable, the sloppy job she was getting away with. The place looks clean at first glance, but, boy, look in the corners. I did the kitchen and the dining room yesterday, but I've still got all the other rooms. Ed shouldn't have to live with dirt.
Joanna, looking at her, said, Okay, funny joke.
I'm not joking,
Charmaine said.
Ed's a pretty wonderful guy, and I've been lazy and selfish. I'm through playing tennis, and I'm through reading those astrology books. From now on, I'm going to do right by Ed, and by Meryl too. I'm lucky to have such a wonderful husband and son.
Joanna looked at the pressed and covered racket in her hand and at Charmaine. That's great, she said, and smiled. But I honestly can't believe you're giving up tennis.
Go look.
Charmaine said. Joanna looked at her.
Go look.
Charmaine said. Joanna turned and went into the living room and across it to the glass doors. She slid one open, hearing Charmaine behind her, and went out onto the terrace. She crossed the terrace and looked down the slope of flagstone-pathed lawn. A truck piled with sections of mesh fencing stood on the tire-marked grass beside the tennis court. Two sides of the court's fence were gone, and the other two lay flat on the grass, a long side and a short one. Two men kneeled on the long side, working at it with long-handled cutters. They brought the handles up and together, and clicks of sound followed. A mountain of dark soil sat on the centre of the court. The net and the posts were gone.
Ed wants a putting green,
Charmaine said, coming to Joanna's side. It's a clay court, Joanna said, turning to her.
It's the only level place we've got,
Charmaine said. My God, Joanna said, looking at the men working the cutter handles. That's crazy, Charmaine.
Ed plays golf. He doesn't play tennis,
Charmaine said. Joanna looked at her. What did he do to you? She said. Hypnotize you?
Don't be silly,
Charmaine said, smiling.
He's a wonderful guy, and I'm a lucky woman who ought to be grateful to him. Do you want to stay a while? I'll make you some coffee. I'm doing Meryl's room, but we can talk while I'm working.
All right, Joanna said, but shook her head and said, No, I... She backed from Charmaine, looking at her. No, there are things I should be doing too. She turned and went quickly across the terrace.
I'm sorry I forgot to call you,
Charmaine said, following her into the living room. It's all right, Joanna said, going quickly, stopping, turning, holding her racket before her with both hands. I'll see you in a few days, okay?
Yes,
Charmaine said, smiling.
Please call me, and please give my regards to Walter.